Chapter 1. The Nature of Power and the Truth About People. Now let me tell you something, and I want you to hear it clear. Power isn't given, it's taken. That's not just a quote, that's a warning and a roadmap. See, while most folks are busy talking about how things ought to be, laws, ideals, how people should behave, one man sat down 5 centuries ago and said, "To hell with should. Let's talk about how things actually work." That man's name was Niccolò Machiavelli. And if his words make you squirm, good. That means they're close to the bone. Now, Machiavelli wasn't some villain twirling his mustache. He was a realist, a man who'd seen empires rise and fall, princes backstabbed by their own kin, and good men crushed because they mistook the world for a fair fight. His genius? It wasn't inventing dirty tricks. It was seeing people clearly. No rose-colored glasses, no fancy philosophy about the noble soul, just raw human nature laid bare. As he said, "Men are so simple of mind and so much dominated by their immediate needs that a deceitful man will always find plenty who are ready to be deceived." That's not just politics, that's Monday morning at the office. That's your cousin who keeps borrowing money. That's your neighbor who smiles to your face and talks behind your back. What Machiavelli knew, and what most folks are still too scared to admit, is that people are driven by fear and self-interest. Not ideals, not logic, not what's right. And once you understand that, the whole world starts to make a lot more sense. Think about it. People will rally for war after an attack, but the minute the body bags come home, they chant for peace. An employee sucks up to the boss in meetings, then mocks him over drinks. Even your closest friend might vanish the second your problems become inconvenient. Machiavelli didn't cry foul. He just said, "This is the game. Now play to win." And if you're still holding out for virtue and consistency, I've got bad news. Most of what we call morality is just performance. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Let that sink in. Most people don't know you. They don't want to know you. They want the version of you that fits their narrative. And if you're smart, you'll give it to them while keeping your real self sharp, steady, and quiet underneath. Because here's the Machiavellian truth. Perception beats reality. Every time. That loud coworker bragging about his work, he gets the promotion. The romantic partner who posts cute selfies online, everyone thinks they're in love, even if they're sleeping in separate beds. Meanwhile, the quiet ones, the real ones, get overlooked because they thought doing the right thing was enough. But let me tell you, kid, in this world, it ain't enough to be good. You gotta look good. And sometimes, you gotta play a little dirty to protect what matters. Now, don't get me wrong. Machiavelli never said to be cruel for cruelty's sake. He wasn't about chaos. He was about control. And real control doesn't mean forcing people to do what they hate. It means understanding what they already want and leading them there. This is the first truth of power. You don't bend people against their nature. You use their nature to your advantage. So ask yourself, are you still playing the game like it's fair? Or are you ready to learn the rules the powerful actually use? Because the ones who win aren't louder. They're not smarter. They're just more honest about what people really are. And if you can face that without flinching, well, you've just taken your first step out of the herd. Chapter 2.
Fear versus love. The mechanics of influence. Now let me ask you a question that Machiavelli tossed into the fire over 500 years ago, and it's still smoking. Is it better to be loved or feared? You've probably heard what the world wants you to say. Oh, love, of course, love is stronger. Well, bless your heart, but that ain't how power works. Not in politics, not in business, and sure as hell not in human nature. Here's what old Niccolò really said. If one cannot be both, it is far safer to be feared than loved. Not nicer, not more virtuous, just safer. And let me tell you something, when the stakes are high, when your reputation, your job, your family, even your dignity is on the line, safe is what keeps you standing. Now before you go picturing some tyrant with a whip, hear me out. Machiavelli never told folks to be monsters. He said, be strategic. There's a difference. See, love's a sweet thing, but it's built on sand. People love you until it's inconvenient. They're loyal until it costs them. They'll sing your praises until someone else offers them a better deal. As Machiavelli put it, men are generally ungrateful, fickle, dissemblers, anxious to avoid danger, and covetous of gain. That might sound harsh, but just look around. Ever seen someone drop a friend when the friend got sick or broke? Ever had a boss pat you on the back one day and lay you off the next? Exactly. But fear, now that's a steadier fuel. Not terror, not violence, not cruelty, just consequences. A quiet, clear line in the sand. Fear is maintained by a dread of punishment that never fails. People may stop loving you, but they don't stop worrying what'll happen if they cross you. They don't test your boundaries as much when they know those boundaries mean something. And here's where it gets real smart. A prince should inspire fear in such a way that if he does not win love, he avoids hatred. Hatred? That's dangerous. Hatred makes folks want revenge. But measured fear, respectful distance, that keeps people in check without stirring up rebellion. Think about it. In a negotiation, the one who's ready to walk away always has the upper hand. In a relationship, the one who needs it less usually controls the rhythm. In a group, the one who grants or withholds approval controls the crowd. It ain't about being a bully. It's about being someone people don't want to lose or disappoint. The workplace proves it every day. You ever see that manager who tries to be everybody's buddy? What happens? Sloppy results, missed deadlines. No one takes him seriously. But the manager who's firm, consistent, respectful, and not afraid to say no, they get things done. They're not necessarily loved, but they are respected. And when it comes to power, respect plus a little healthy fear, that's gold. This isn't a call to be cold, it's a reminder. Being liked is optional. Being useful is not. People will align with you when it helps them, they'll follow you when not doing so might cost them, and they'll respect you when you make it clear you have the power to influence their outcomes. So the question ain't, should I be feared or loved? It's, how can I become the kind of person that people hesitate to betray, not because they adore me, but because it would cost them too much? That, my friend, is influence. And that's what the world remembers long after the warm fuzzies fade. Stick with me. Next up, we'll talk about the power of appearances and how a strong mask can sometimes guard the truth better than 1,000 truths spoken too soon.
Chapter 3. Managing Perception, the Art of Being Seen. Now, let me tell you something that makes folks squirm, but they know deep down it's true. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. That right there is Machiavelli's gold nugget of wisdom. Most people, they don't see your soul. They see your silhouette. They don't study your character. They skim the headlines. And that, well, that gives you an edge. Because if you can shape what they see, you can shape what they believe. And if you shape belief, buddy, you shape power. Now, we ain't talking about lying. We're talking about controlling the frame, because life ain't a courtroom.
It's a stage, and folks trust the costume more than the actor underneath. Let's walk through a few of Machiavelli's favorite tricks, the ones the powerful still use today, even if they don't hang his portrait on their office wall. 1. Selective virtue. A prince should appear merciful, faithful, humane, religious, and upright, and should even be so in reality. But he should have his mind so trained that when occasion requires it, he may know how to change to the opposite. That one's a mouthful, but read it again. He's not telling you to be a fraud. He's telling you to be flexible. Sometimes honesty is the right play. Other times, well, too much truth, and you hand your enemy the blade. You appear virtuous. You let people believe you're always fair, always calm, always kind. But when the wolves come, you better know how to grow fangs. This ain't hypocrisy, it's strategy. And in a world that watches the show but never checks the script, strategy matters. 2. Symbolic action. Let's face it, folks are suckers for the highlight reel. The politician who shakes hands in front of a camera, he'll get more votes than the quiet one crunching policy in the dark. The boss who gives one loud shout-out in a team meeting gets more credit than the one who quietly lifts the whole crew every day. Machiavelli knew this. So he said, use symbols, use moments, use spectacle. Folks remember how you made them feel, not how hard you worked behind closed doors. So if you want respect, make it visible. 3. Information control. Here's a Machiavelli's deadliest line. The prince who creates a false impression of himself and conceals his true aims will always find people who let themselves be deceived. Now ain't that the truth? This don't mean flat-out lying. It means choosing what people see and when. Spotlight the good. Bury the bad under a slow news day. Time your truths like a chess master, not a truth teller in a confessional. Modern PR firms charge millions for this kind of playbook, and Machiavelli gave it away for free. 4. Separate representation. Here's a slick one you've seen 100 times and maybe didn't realize. The king gives out the gold himself, but when taxes go up, that message comes from someone else. The good news? That's your face on the poster. The bad news? That's your assistant's problem. Why? Because people remember the messenger, not just the message. So Machiavelli says, delegate the dirty work. Let folks associate your name with blessings, not burdens. Is it selfish? Maybe. Is it effective? Absolutely. Now look, just because you know these tactics doesn't mean you gotta use them. But I'll tell you this, if you don't understand them, someone else is already using them on you. That coworker who always gets the credit, that politician who seems so authentic, that influencer who just goes with the flow, they're working the angles. They've learned the stage. And if you want to survive in this world, let alone lead, you better learn the playbook too. Control the story, control the outcome. Appear strong, but stay flexible. Speak softly, but know exactly what people are hearing. That's Machiavellian magic, son. And it ain't evil, it's just clear-eyed.
Chapter 4. Modern Machiavellianism, Subtle Influence, and Practical Power. Now, if you've stuck with me this far, I reckon you've got a taste for truth. Not the feel-good kind they sell on bumper stickers, but the raw, useful kind that actually works in the world. So let's bring it home. You've learned how power sees people. You've learned that fear beats flattery, and that image beats substance most days of the week. Now I want to talk about how to actually use this, not to become some cartoon villain twirling your mustache, but to navigate a world that already runs on power whether you like it or not. See, Niccolò Machiavelli didn't just point at the game, he taught us how to play it. Let's walk through 5 tactics from the man himself, and I'll show you how they still apply in the 21st century right here, right now. 1. Strategic generosity. What people remember most? Ain't kindness, ain't loyalty. It's what they gained or lost when they stood next to you. So when you're generous, make it stick. Don't just help behind the scenes, be seen helping. That bonus at work, that promotion you lobbied for, that opportunity you whispered someone's name into. Let them know, not arrogantly, just clearly. Because when people tie their gain to your favor, they stay loyal, they stay aligned, and they stay out of your way. 2. Calculated mercy. Men should either be caressed or eliminated. Now this one rattles modern ears, but remember, Machiavelli wasn't prescribing cruelty, he was describing clarity. See, half punishments are poison. You suspend someone instead of firing them, now they hate you, and they still have a key card. So Machiavelli says go all in or all out. Either rebuild trust fully or cut ties clean. That middle ground, that's where resentment grows. Same goes for friendships, business partnerships, even family feuds. Be clear, not cruel. 3. Manufactured crisis. Never waste a good crisis. You know when change finally happens in a company? When the numbers drop, when the press calls, when someone leaves. Machiavelli saw what most leaders still don't. Crisis creates movement. So don't just wait for chaos. Prepare for it. Shape it. Use it. That unpopular reform? Save it for the quarterly downturn. That risky decision? Announce it when your competitor stumbles. In stormy weather, people look for captains, not committees. That's your moment. 4. Strategic alliance. Want real power? Don't try to control everything. Control the doorway. Be the one who connects people to what they want, whether it's customers, capital, influence, or approval. Be the broker, not the beggar. And when you build alliances, don't make them fair, make them necessary. Folks will tolerate unfairness if they can't live without you, but no one sticks with a middleman they don't need. Control access, and you control action. 5. Predictive consistency. Nothing makes a prince more esteemed than undertaking great enterprises and giving striking examples of his own abilities. Now let me translate that for modern ears. Do bold things, do them well, and do them consistently. Power sticks to those who make success look inevitable, not flashy, not noisy, predictable. Show up, execute, repeat. You'll look like the sun rising, and folks stop questioning the sunrise. Now, I ain't saying you should use all of this, but you'd best understand it. Because the folks running the game, the CEOs, the consultants, the quiet strategists behind the curtain, they sure do. They've read Machiavelli. They've lived him. And you? You don't have to be ruthless, just ready. Because in a world full of noise, confusion, and cheap virtue signals, the one who acts with clarity, consistency, and quiet strength, that's the one who wins. So walk with wisdom. Smile when it's time to smile. Strike only when it's necessary. But above all, see clearly. Because the world ain't fair, but it is understandable. And that is power. Conclusion. The ethics of Machiavellianism. Is understanding manipulation inherently corrupting? Machiavelli didn't think so. He wrote, "Anyone who wishes to make a profession of goodness in everything must necessarily come to grief among so many who are not good." He didn't glorify evil. He acknowledged reality. Power, like fire, is neutral. It can warm a home or burn it down. The same tools that corrupt can also protect, build, and lead. The point isn't to reject influence, and it sure ain't to use it blindly. It's to master it with clear eyes and steady hands. Not to be naive, not to be ruthless, but to be aware and in control of yourself before you ever try to control others. If this kind of wisdom speaks to you, real, raw, and useful, go ahead and subscribe and tap that bell so you don't miss what's next. We're not just chasing power here, we're learning to wield it wisely.